The text message from my mother had glowed on my phone screen like a promise. "Come early, sweetheart. We want to celebrate you tonight." For a moment, I just stared at it, my throat tightening. Celebrate me? After years of feeling like nothing more than a walking wallet, those words pierced through the heaviness I'd been carrying. Maybe, just maybe, they finally saw me not as the sister who bailed at her brother, not as the daughter who paid off her father's failed business loans, not as the nurse who covered her mother's endless medical bills. Maybe they finally saw Natalie. I drove to my parents' house with my heart hammering in anticipation, the familiar ache of exhaustion sitting heavy in my chest but soothed by the fragile hope that this night would be different. When I pulled into the driveway, the house was glowing with warm light. I straightened my dress, bought second-hand but pressed neatly, and carried inside a small bouquet I'd picked up on the way. My mother always loved daisies. Inside, laughter spilled from the dining room. The long table was filled with relatives' faces I hadn't seen in months. Plates of roasted chicken and steaming bread baskets covered the surface. I swallowed hard, clutching the flowers as I stepped in. Surprise! They all shouted. I froze, tears pricking my eyes. For a heartbeat, I believed it. I believed they had gathered just for me. But they knew. My brother Adam smirked, raising a glass. "Look who's here. Our limited guest finally made it." The room erupted in laughter. My uncle slapped the table. My cousin shook her head, chuckling. My mother didn't correct him. My father didn't frown. They all laughed as though I were the punchline at my own celebration. "Limited guest?" I whispered. Adam leaned back in his chair. "Yeah. You know, a broken bar. You're only good for limited things. Paying bills, covering debts, never staying long enough to actually be family." He sipped his drink, satisfied. The laughter rang louder, but it no longer sounded like clatter. It was a roar of betrayal in my ears. My mother finally reached for the flowers, her smile thin. "Thank you for coming early, Natalie. Sit, sit. Don't take it so seriously. We're just teasing." Teasing. That word sliced through me like a knife. Teasing was calling someone clumsy. Teasing was a joke you shared in love. This wasn't teasing. This was cruelty, sharpened over years of unspoken ingratitude. I sat down anyway, my hands trembling. I listened as the conversation shifted, not about me, not about any achievements or the sacrifices I had made, but about Adam's big plans for a new venture. About how Mom and Dad had been helping him get back on his feet again. Then my father turned to me. "Natalie, since you've got a stable job, maybe you can invest a little? For your brother. Family helps family." That was the moment the hope inside me died. I had drained my savings once to keep Adam out of jail for his gambling debts. I had worked double shifts to cover hospital bills when insurance failed my mother. I had wired money to Dad when his business partner stole from him. I had given, and given, and given. And now, on the one night I thought was for me, they were asking for more. The humiliation burned my skin. My hands gripped the edge of the chair until my knuckles turned white. I looked around that table at every face that had once been family, at every pair of eyes that now saw me not as Natalie, but as a bank account. Something inside me snapped. I stood slowly, the legs of my chair scraping the floor. The room quieted. "You know what?" My voice shook at first, but then it grew stronger. "You're right. I am a limited guest. But not in the way you think. I'm limited because tonight is the last time you'll ever laugh at me like this." My mother frowned. "Natalie, don't be dramatic." I turned to her, my heart pounding but steady now. "Do you know what's dramatic, Mom? Working 16-hour shifts to pay for medication you never thanked me for. Selling my car so Adam wouldn't go to jail. Taking out a loan for Dad's ridiculous ventures. That's dramatic. and you all sat here tonight and mocked me for it." The silence was heavy. No one moved. Adam's smirk faltered. "I thought you wanted to celebrate me," I said, tears welling but not falling. "But you only wanted to use me. And I'm done being used." I placed the flowers on the table. Those bright daisies now looked like a farewell gift. "Enjoy dinner. Enjoy each other. Because you'll never enjoy me this way again." And I walked out. The days that followed weren't easy. Cutting ties with your own blood feels like cutting out a part of your soul. My phone buzzed with texts at first and accusations of being selfish, pleas for money disguised as apologies, guilt-laden messages from my mother begging me to reconsider. I ignored them all. I poured my energy into myself for the first time in my life. I moved to a small apartment across town. I started setting aside money for me, for trips, for classes I'd always wanted to take, for a future that didn't revolve around rescuing people who never once rescued me. Months later, I was invited to a nursing conference to share my experience in resilience and self-advocacy. Standing on that stage, I told my story of how family can sometimes wound us deeper than strangers, how love without respect is just manipulation, and how walking away can sometimes be the most powerful act of love for yourself. The applause that filled the room that day healed something inside me that my family never could. For the first time, I wasn't a limited guest. I was the honored one. And that's the truth I carry now. You can give endlessly, but if the people receiving never value you, it will never be enough. The moment you choose yourself is the moment you stop being the source of everyone else's survival, you start to live. Because sometimes family isn't who you're born to. Sometimes it's who you build, piece by piece, from the people who see you, celebrate you, and never make you feel like a guest in your own life. And I, Natalie Foster, am no one's limited guest ever again.